I've watched Dimitri overcome so many setbacks. There was this one time with physical therapy. She says, "So Dimitri will never walk unless he has braces." Okay, Shanique, we're just going to go through it. We're going to do what they say. We're going to do whatever we need to get done to make sure that Dimitri has the best possible chance of overcoming this. And for him to just live a normal life. So we took Dimitri to get fitted for braces. One afternoon, my son calls me. He's like, Mommy, guess what? And so he flips the phone, and Dimitri was standing up over there, and he just got up and he started walking. He just continuously defied all of the odds that were stacked against him.
So when I recognized the challenges that Shanique and her family faced living here in the United States, I wanted to reach out to find any possible help for them.
He had heard about the situation with Shanique's immigration status, and he understood the difficulties that she faced because here she was, a mother of this child with desperate medical needs that couldn't be provided on the island. He, as the medical professional, was saying, no, you need to stay close to this medical facility. But meanwhile, the government is saying, you can't stay here. And so she couldn't work. And so Dr. Roby was concerned that after he left, he didn't know who was going to advocate.
So with Dimitri and any baby born with complex congenital heart disease, especially ones that had almost total absence of the diaphragm that requires a piece of plastic be placed to construct a new diaphragm, they have a long-term need for continued complex medical care and intervention. Because this is plastic and won't grow with them, sooner or later it will pull away from the chest wall and will have a recurrence of the diaphragmatic hernia. That can be treated in a variety of ways, all of which are surgical, best done at an experience center with ongoing experience with this difficult diagnosis. For well into their teens, if not even into early adulthood, they are at risk of having lung or heart dysfunction, malfunction, that can even lead to sudden cardiac arrest and sudden cardiac death. These patients really need to be in areas where the most advanced medical care is available to them.
We wrote congressmen, we advocated, and
was that Roby writing those letters? You writing those letters?
Both. Yeah,
okay.
Yeah. So Dr. Roby, made an extensive report of the medical condition and why it wasn't safe for Dimitri to leave.
You've got someone who has shown a history of willing to work. You've got a situation in our country right now where people are walking away from jobs or refusing to work, and there's such a huge need for labor. And there's only one thing preventing her from doing that, and it's a visa that it should never have been denied to begin with. All she wants to do is provide for her family, but do so in a legal way because she's not willing to risk deportation and then have to make the heart-wrenching choice of either taking her son with her, who will probably get sick and die, or giving him up to the state and not being able to see him. Make sense of that.
That's what's so incredibly frustrating about this, is that the medical evidence has been provided to the government and the government still says there's no reason for you to stay here.
She's doing everything the right way. She can't work. She doesn't want to jeopardize her ability to stay here to make sure Dimitri gets the proper care, but she obviously has to live. So the needs are really every functioning person, their everyday living needs. You have to have a place to stay. You have to be able to pay for your utilities. She needs internet because guess what? Dimitri has to see a doctor. Well, they don't have a car. So she either gets on the bus a couple of times a week or they do a telemedicine consult. So obviously, telemedicine makes far more sense. Well, that's not free. So you got to pay for the internet. She has to have a phone. So it's just things like that. And then, oh, by the way, what about food? So, it sounds simple, but it's not.
What I remember most about that relationship is just the warmth that I felt whenever I was with Shanique, whenever I talked to her, whenever I observed her disposition, and I want to say incredibly positive attitude. And I found that it spoke to me.
Really believing in Jeremiah 29:11, because with all of this, God has to have a plan.
The one thing that always stood out with me on her is her lack of bitterness. She finds ways of being thankful, but more importantly, trusting God. So actually, her testimony has had a huge impact on me, because if roles were reversed, I'm not sure I would be that gracious. I'm not sure I would be that thankful. I think I would be angry. I don't know, and I hope I never do know. So if and when my circumstances change again, that somehow, some way I saw Jesus in her, and perhaps maybe I'll learn from that.
Something good is going to come out of this. And that's just my hope. That's just my belief. Something good is going to come out of all of this because he has a plan for me.
One of the things that I was not aware of was prior to her getting more and more help, particularly from us, she did have a credit card from when she was working. Well, she maxed it out by trying to pay different bills at certain times before they shut off power or whatever. So her credit's killed right now, and she had no way of borrowing. And so I sent out to our group an update, and I happened to mention that. And I also mentioned, her monthly needs. This is what I anticipate funds-wise, what she's going to need. Literally within 3 hours, one of the members had already said they were going to cover the credit card debt, which I don't cry unless the Gators lose, so I guess I cry a lot now. But that got me. That got me big time. And then literally within 30 minutes, 2 more emails of people increasing their giving. I didn't ask for it. That was never the intent. It was just really to raise awareness of, hey, we really do need to seek other people to help. But they didn't think that way. They thought, there's a need, we're going to do it. I love that.
The support of her and her family has continued, and not only she, but I certainly greatly appreciate that commitment and that love that's been demonstrated by the Webbers and by their church community.
I am so very thankful for persons who I don't even know who have stepped in. Like sometimes when I think about it, I get overwhelmed. And the only thing that I can think about is, who am I that he is so mindful of me? Because even in the midst of everything that I have going on, he still provides. He still keeps me.
In a world of hate, fear, indifference, people still care. I know they do. And by doing this, I've seen it firsthand. And that's my hope, is it just continues.